These are the 10 most disturbing moments in World Cup history. Real matches, real people, and stories far darker than the highlight reels ever show. And number 1 ended with a player paying for one small mistake with his life. In the 2010 FIFA World Cup quarter-final, an extraordinary moment unfolded. Ghana faced Uruguay, with history on the line. As the match drew into extra time, tension gripped the Soccer City Stadium in Johannesburg. In the dying moments, Ghana launched a desperate attack. A goal-bound header soared towards the net, promising to secure Ghana's place as the first African semi-finalist. But then, in a shocking twist, Uruguay's Luis Suarez used his hands to block the ball on the goal line. The deliberate handball left the referee no choice but to send Suarez off with a red card. Ghana's Asamoah Gyan stepped up to take the penalty, but heartbreak followed as he missed. The match went to a shootout, and Uruguay emerged victorious, with Suarez celebrating in the tunnel. The incident sparked outrage and debate. Ghana was denied a historic moment, leaving a bitter memory of how one controversial act changed the course of World Cup history. In 1962, the Battle of Santiago became an infamous chapter in World Cup history. The group stage match between Chile and Italy turned violent almost immediately. Tensions ran high, fueled by political and cultural friction. Within the first 12 seconds, a brutal foul set the tone for what was to come. The game quickly devolved into chaos as players resorted to punches and kicks instead of football skills. Armed police were forced to intervene multiple times to break up violent skirmishes. Despite their efforts, the match continued with both sides showing little regard for rules or sportsmanship. BBC commentator David Coleman famously described the footage as the most appalling exhibition of football. The match ended with a 2-0 victory for Chile, but its legacy was one of violence and shame. In the 2006 World Cup final, an unforgettable moment unfolded. Zinedine Zidane, France's iconic midfielder, was playing his last professional match. The stakes were high, as France faced Italy in Berlin. In the tense atmosphere of extra time, Zidane and Marco Materazzi exchanged words. Reports later revealed that Materazzi insulted Zidane's family, igniting a reaction from the French captain. In a shocking turn, Zidane lunged forward, delivering a headbutt to Materazzi's chest. The stadium gasped as the Italian player fell to the ground, and the referee brandished a red card. Zidane walked off the field, past the World Cup trophy, a poignant end to his illustrious career. France ultimately lost to Italy in a penalty shootout, adding to the drama of the incident. In 1974, the World Cup hosted a dark chapter known as the Zaire Nightmare. Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo, made history as the first sub-Saharan African team to qualify. Their journey would soon take a harrowing turn. After a 9-0 defeat to Yugoslavia, Zaire's players were threatened by dictator Mobutu Sese Seko's guards. They were told not to return home if they lost by 4 or more goals to Brazil. Fear loomed large over the team. During the match against Brazil, Zaire defender Mwepu Ilunga made a bewildering charge from the wall during a free kick, booting the ball away. The move, long mocked, was an act of defiance against the overwhelming pressure they faced. Despite avoiding a massive defeat to Brazil, the team's fear and struggles continued. Players returned home to a life of poverty, unpaid for their efforts, their dreams overshadowed by political exploitation and a nation's neglect. In 1982, the World Cup witnessed the Disgrace of Gijon. West Germany faced Austria in a match that would determine advancement in the tournament. An early goal by West Germany set an ominous tone for the match. With both teams aware that a 1-0 result would benefit them equally, the game turned into an unsettling spectacle. For the next 80 minutes, the players passed the ball aimlessly, avoiding any real competition. Fans reacted with visible disgust, waving white handkerchiefs in protest. The stadium echoed with boos and chants from disillusioned spectators who felt betrayed by the lack of sportsmanship. The match concluded without any further goals, ensuring both teams' advancement and Algeria's elimination. The event prompted FIFA to change rules, mandating simultaneous final group match kickoffs to prevent such collusion. In 1989, during a World Cup qualifier at Brazil's Maracanazo Stadium, Chilean goalkeeper Roberto Rojas became the center of a scandal. The match was intense, with Chile needing a win to stay in contention. As the game progressed, a firework was thrown from the stands, landing near Rojas. Suddenly he fell to the ground, appearing injured and bleeding. Panic spread as players and medics rushed to the scene. Amidst the chaos, the match was abandoned, seemingly benefiting Chile. However, photographs soon revealed the shocking truth. Rojas's injuries were self-inflicted, using a razor blade hidden in his glove. The exposure of Rojas's deception led to severe consequences. He faced a lifetime ban, and Chile was disqualified from the 1994 World Cup. It was a dark moment of deceit in the sport's history. The Maracanazo of 1950 was a seismic event in football history. Brazil hosted the World Cup, with the deciding match against Uruguay held at the Maracana Stadium. Only a draw was needed for Brazil to claim victory. The atmosphere was electric as over 200,000 spectators packed the stadium. Brazil scored first, igniting wild celebrations, but Uruguay equalized and then, in a shocking twist, scored again to lead 2-1. As the final whistle blew, the crowd fell into an eerie silence. The anticipated celebration turned into disbelief and despair. Reports emerged of fans collapsing, some suffering heart attacks, unable to cope with the shock. The loss became a national trauma for Brazil. In response, they abandoned their white football kit, viewing it as cursed. The Maracanazo left an indelible mark on Brazilian football and psyche. In 1969, the football war erupted between Honduras and El Salvador. The fuse was lit during the World Cup qualifiers, where fierce nationalism spurred violent riots. Football became a flashpoint for underlying tensions between the two nations. The decisive match took place in Mexico City, intended to be neutral ground. Despite the distance, emotions ran high. The victory of El Salvador was seen as a national triumph, deepening animosity and setting the stage for conflict. Barely 3 weeks after the match, diplomatic relations collapsed. On July 14th, El Salvador invaded Honduras, marking the start of the brief but bloody football war. Air raids and ground skirmishes ensued, causing chaos and destruction. The conflict lasted just 4 days, but left a lasting scar. Around 3,000 people died, and hundreds of thousands were displaced. The war may have been brief, but its impact on human lives was profound and enduring. The war ended with a ceasefire brokered by the Organization of American States. However, peace took years to achieve. The borders remained tense, and the socio-political effects of this conflict endured for decades. In 1978, Argentina hosted the World Cup under a military dictatorship. The regime saw the event as a chance to legitimize its rule, even as it waged a brutal campaign against its own people. The Estadio Monumental in Buenos Aires, where the final was held, was near the ESMA, a notorious torture center. Detainees later recounted how they could hear the stadium's cheers through their prison walls. Argentina's decisive 6-0 victory over Peru raised suspicions of match-fixing. Allegations surfaced that the military regime had influenced the outcome to ensure Argentina's place in the final. Despite the lingering doubts, Argentina won the World Cup. For many, the victory symbolized national pride, but for others, it was a stark reminder of the regime's cruelty and manipulation. In 1994, Colombian defender Andrés Escobar inadvertently scored an own goal during a World Cup match against the United States. This mistake contributed to Colombia's unexpected elimination from the tournament, crushing the hopes of a nation. Just 10 days after the match, back home in Medellin, Escobar was confronted outside a nightclub. In a tragic encounter, he was shot 6 times, reportedly taunted about the own goal as the bullets were fired. Escobar's murder shocked the world, drawing attention to the volatile mix of sports and violent crime in Colombia. The killer, a bodyguard with alleged ties to gambling losses, later confessed to the crime. At Escobar's funeral, 120,000 mourners gathered to pay their respects, highlighting the deep sense of loss and outrage felt across the nation. His death became a symbol of the dark side of football's influence. Which of these moments shocked you the most? Tell me in the comments.